Okay. All right, we're going to call to order this special meeting of the Atchison City Commission, Tuesday, December 29th, 2022 at 2:30 p.m. We're just going to go ahead and get right into new business. If Amy wants.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. What you have before you is a resolution declaring a water emergency. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about what that means and what it doesn't for us today, and how we're going to try to navigate through the next few days while we wait for hopefully the temperatures to warm up or some other action taken that will help move that ice jam along and past us. What this allows us to do, we have an ordinance number 6501. What this allows us to do is declare a formal water emergency. Right now, we are relying solely on our auxiliary pump that was purchased in 2021. The river levels are too low to operate our regular intake pump at this time. As the water levels rise, as that ice jam situation develops and moves along, we're hoping that as water levels continue to rise, we can begin operating that even at minimal levels. That will supplement the auxiliary pump. That setup is completely opposite of what the plan for that auxiliary pump was initially for. The auxiliary pump, the idea was it would supplement our main intake pump when water levels dropped. I don't think we envisioned a scenario where our public water supply and our storage levels would be relying on the auxiliary pump. The warmer temperatures are certainly reducing some challenges that we were facing over that really cold clip of weather with the ice buildup. We have taken a look, so the water emergency allows us to begin restricting use if we have to. That does not mean today we are shutting everyone off, we are turning water meters off. What it does allow us to do is we took some time looking at our largest water consumers. The purpose of asking for restrictions is to relieve stress on the system. Our storage right now is not at full capacity. We've had over the last several days a house fire. The pump was taken offline for a period of several hours to make some repairs. During that time, no water was being pumped into the plant for processing. We've had some water main breaks. All of those things depleted the storage in both our towers and our tanks. We are not gaining ground right now. We are maintaining levels at about 2/3 of what our maximum storage capacity is. It is time that we wanted to formalize this so we can begin taking action if that situation changes. What we've done is taken a look at our largest water consumers from highest and down. Our intention is to work with those that are putting the most stress on our system. Some have done that voluntarily already based on our previous press releases. The previous press release called for industrial and agriculture. What that didn't address was some of our commercial customers, and we wanted to take a look at how that looked as far as usage. Our intention is to look at those kind of in tiers of usage. So as we are looking at the larger customers, if we have to dip down, if we're not gaining ground, if we are losing or depleting our storage levels, we can continue working down. The very bottom of that tier would be residential. And if we're asking for residential consumption, everyone above that can assume that they would be asked to restrict or eliminate water usage as well. We're directly communicating with anyone that's impacted by that or what we're asking. If we notice a consistent increase in our storage levels and we feel like we're gaining ground, we will start bringing people back online. We're trying to put everyone on notice that the situation is fragile. There are several things that could happen that could change things for us very quickly. A fire, an issue with the pump, taking that pump offline and not bringing water in, a leak somewhere, whether that is a main break, whether that's a pipe breaking. We just need to be in a position where we can act if we need to. Our goal and our purpose really is to preserve the public water supply. We don't want to be in a situation where any of our pumps or towers or tanks drop to a level that would require a boil order. We're trying to be proactive, communicate with those that may be impacted, And we felt like getting you to consider a resolution declaring the water emergency allows us to maneuver through that. Hopefully, the next several days, we will see some water levels increasing. We will begin running our main intake pump as quickly as we can at whatever level that we can. That's not possible today. We have been in contact with the county EMS director. He will be, after or assuming that this resolution is passed, and upon receiving a copy of that, he'll be notifying the state to declare a state of emergency for our county. That puts us in a position that if there is a need in the future for National Guard or some sort of assistance, that we have those steps in place where we're ready to do that. And I would be happy to answer any questions that you have. We do have some of our utility staff as well, if there's a question I can't answer for you.
I do. I have a question. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm not sure how long this is, how long we're estimating this will last. Have we thought about schools coming back in session in the next couple of weeks, Benedictine coming back in session? I know we're focused on like the right now, but are those things that we have considered?
They are. We are, in our tiers, we've kind of set aside in its own category, healthcare facilities, apartments, I have a list here, schools, hotels, and then the rural water districts. Of course, schools, healthcare facilities, apartments, anywhere where there's residential reliance upon water, or for students or people being housed. Rural water districts are on separate contracts. Those are some of the users that we're monitoring. We know right now they're out of session. If we are not through this by the time they go back in session, that very much could impact what we ask of them, depending on our storage levels, our capacity that we're pumping, the ice jam situation, if that is moved, if it's coming towards us. But yes, those are all things that we will be closely monitoring and then adapting to if we're not through this by the time their students come back.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And you mentioned that right now we are not near oil order.
No, that is true. We're not, and I do believe we've received some calls. I think there's some misinformation. I don't know if is somewhere near us that's under boil order. We are not. If we allowed our towers to drain to a certain level, we lose pressure. That's what would trigger that. Our goal is to not be close to that. We're trying to preserve and maintain our storage levels so we're not in jeopardy, but we are not under boil order at this time.
And are we asking people to resort to our Facebook for communication as well as our website, and what other capacity can we reach out to people about this situation?
We will be, after this meeting, issuing a press release, a copy of the resolution. We will use our normal channels of both Care Radio, the Globe. We will send to our Facebook, our website, and then the agenda did go out to the normal agenda group. We will send the resolution in for publication. That is part of our ordinance. However, there's no publication until Saturday. And so we are operating kind of under Section 10 of that ordinance that allows for an emergency declaration. We are going to go ahead and publish that. The resolution, if you're reading it in black and white, can sound very scary. It can sound like the whole town is shut down. That's not our intention right now, and we will communicate very specifically, especially as we're talking to our larger water consumers. We will be making direct contact with them. If it reaches a point of residential, we will use every means available to us to get that word out.
How much does the river have to rise before we're in much better shape?
The river would have to rise approximately. And right now, depends on weather.
So I've been asked this question by people, well, what are they doing in Omaha to break that up? Nobody got a stick of dynamite or what?
I think they attempted one maneuver maybe 2 days ago to break it up. That was unsuccessful. It's our understanding right now, I think, relying on probably the temperatures to try to melt that. There is a concern if it does break loose, there's some bends in the river, upriver from us, that it may get hung up again. So our best plan forward is to try to maintain our storage levels at maximum capacity, which allows us more time to react if we do have a critical event that could deplete some of those water sources.
So our most immediate neighbors, St. Joe, Leavenworth, how are we compared to them? Do we know anything what's going on there?
I,
They have radio collector wells. River level does not affect their.
and we do have our design grant from FEMA was approved for the design of our radio collector wells. That is a long process, so we have taken some first steps in that, but it will be a while before we would see those in operation.
So declaring the state of emergency, the large consumers you've already been working with them.
We have,
So
yes.
if we're declaring this right now, like we're kind of saying like nothing's changing after this happens unless we really need it to, right? Like, because we sent out the mandatory water,
Yes, we're
usage.
staying in communication directly with any organization or companies that we've asked to either shut down as much as they can. And then if there's any that we had shut down and we have brought back online because of the changes in tiers, we've communicated that to them as well.
There's a big difference between mandatory and request.
Yes.
So the request that went out several days ago,
That was actually mandatory for industrial and ag
did it
customers.
happen?
I hope so.
Aren't you someone able to look at a meter and say whether it happened or not?
We have been spot checking some of the meters as we move through this. Now that we are talking about declaring a water emergency, that will be part of the plan. This resolution really kind of allows that authority for us to do more than just a request. But yes, we're going to be monitoring. Jim's team at the water plant can be watching each tower and each tank, and so if there's any stress on one tower, we're able to identify kind of what area that serves. We will be monitoring if we've asked anyone to shut down kind of, I don't know if that'll be 24 hours. It might depend on how critical our levels are at that point, but we will be able to monitor water meters to ensure that we're meeting that
Well,
requirement.
I don't know that you can really have a great discussion unless you actually talk about what the problems are with the major consumers, and Midwest is by far the largest consumer, a third to half of our water. Is that
Half,
correct?
yes, half, yeah.
So
In normal
do we
operation.
know where they're at with cutting back?
They have cut down, what's reported to us is they are running at an idle level. Even at an idle level, it is a big pull on our water supply. And so that's just something we are trying to, we are working with MGP on what we can do, even if there's any more cutback. They have systems in place, digesters, boiler systems, that they're really trying to maintain the safety of their plant. MGP is a critical organization in our community. Our job right now has to be to consider that as a piece of the big puzzle.
Right, well, I know that completely, but if there were a time where you could cut back 2 or 3 days, the holidays would be probably the least impactful to them in a negative way. But I don't know that this request to cut back, I just came by 2 car washes and there were 30 cars in the car wash.
Yes, so I was going to address that actually, and I wasn't going to be specific, but you have, and I'm going to address that.
I'm
So
going to be the bad guy.
what, that's okay. What you see driving by the street is often different from what we can see at monitoring consumption levels. We have spoken to the owner of the car wash, and they have reduced their hours of operation. They are in that next tier down. If we are not able to gain ground, if we dip in any way, that next tier will be asked to shut down. That next tier does not include restaurants. I think that's the next one down. Most of our restaurants in the big scope of things are relatively small users when you're looking at our top 50 or top 100 water consumers. The concern really is our largest water user, and that is MGP, and that is not a criticism. There are responsibilities on both the city and an organization when there's that strong reliance upon the public water supply. One critical event, if we're not able to gain any ground on our storage, and we have been in communication. We can contact them if we have a water main break. It's been reported to us that they can shut down for a few hours, which would give us some relief, maybe a little bit more time to react. Jim's watching the tanks very carefully. Right now, I think we are at about 2/3 capacity for our storage. I would like to see it more than that. I'd like to see us get our tanks back up. Our pump is running at full capacity, so we can't pump more water. What we really need is to try to lessen the demand on our supply right now until we can gain some ground. Overnight typically is when our usage is the lowest. So we're hoping overnight. Last night, we did not gain any ground, which kind of has led us to, we've been sequestered all morning, trying to figure out the best way forward, and we really feel like the formal declaration of a water emergency, especially with the unknown length of time that we need to sustain until that water jam or that ice jam passes us.
And right now, when is the estimated time?
No, they're saying several days. I would say that's best case scenario. What we do know is once that's dislodged and is moving consistently, there's still a 22-hour lead time before it will pass us. Now, that might change if it moves downriver and jams up at a different spot, but right now, if it started moving now, we have 22 hours until the ice jam passes, which then would allow our water levels to rise again. Right now, that ice jam is stationary. I sent you all a video yesterday taken by the Nebraska State Patrol. The ice jam is 60 miles long. In my head, an ice jam was a band of ice across the river, and it's really so much more than that. Yeah, yep. I know there's a power plant in Omaha that has been taken offline for the very same issues that we're facing with low water levels in the river.
Any other questions? Vice Mayor Bartlett, do you have any other questions?
I don't have anything. I just hope that those listening are good stewards. They know where to go for information. Talk to your commission about it. Ask us questions. We're happy to pass along what we can.
I guess I have one more question. If you've been
Sure.
working with Westlander, if this goes through, is this something that we could put out on the Code Red system, or?
We have discussed that, and after today, that what we're trying to do, the Code Red, we're hoping that if there's an emergency happens, especially if we have to reach to residents and ask them, what we don't want to do is alert too soon and say, hey, warning, this could happen, that when we put that alert out, it would be a call to action. Conserve, reduce, eliminate all bathtub filling, running of water other than drinking water. Those things, we're hesitant to alert too soon on a Code Red where it may not get the desired attention if we came out in an emergency.
Okay, if there's no further questions, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 3330 declaring a water emergency?
So moved. Second.
Okay, any further discussion? No? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Hearing none? All right, if that's everything.
Yes,
good?
thank you
Okay,
so much.
We will adjourn. Thank you.